Good evening and welcome to my weekly 10 show. It's my episode 59, coming up to my 60th. Not my age, but my 60th show. I'm not that old yet. Tonight I'm going to talk about how things change when we change you. And before I jump into that, I want to just mention that I'm starting my podcast shows next week. I think it is now. We're starting now. I'm just waiting for my guest to confirm. And then once I know that, then we will start doing that. It's a chat show. It's going to be in a studio. It's going to be really, really great. And if you want to watch that, it's going to be on a podcast. But if you want to actually watch the show, then subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll leave the link in the box at the bottom so that you can find that. And then you'll be notified and you'll see it when it comes out next week. And it's going to be great. So please check that out. It's going to be really good. And again, I'm available for one-to-one coaching and group coaching if you're interested. When it's in the workplace, I work with groups of 6 to 8 people at a time. And I do seminars as well and live speaking. So if you're interested in anything like that, check me out, have a chat with me, and we'll see where we go from there. So tonight I want to talk about how things change when we focus on changing ourselves, you. So one thing I think everybody understands or agrees with is that change is the only real constant in life. And yet it's also one of the things that we tend to try avoid committing to for some reason. When we recognise in ourselves that something isn't working and our life isn't going in the direction we particularly want, something has to change, often we can avoid making that change. And, you know, I want to look at that. Why is that? Why is it that we don't commit to that? When we know that we need to make a change, we don't always commit to making that change. And so what stops us actually embracing change rather than fearing it and holding back from making a change that, you know, really will sort of create the life that we want? So it really is fear. It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of failure, fear of success, fear of a lot of things, fear of embarrassment, fear of making a fool of yourself. Ultimately fear. We get stuck in our comfort zone. It becomes easier to stay in that comfort zone. Better the devil you know rather than commit to something that you don't know or that delivers some sort of a degree of uncertainty, not knowing how something will turn out, not knowing what the outcome of a certain situation will be. So we end up staying stuck in that situation rather than actually, you know, committing to the change that we want, really. So we avoid commitment, and it means focusing on things that we don't particularly want to about ourselves, because that when we like, you know something has to change, it might not be something that we want to really look at or focus on, so we avoid doing so. It's normal, it's natural. It's easier to avoid that part of it and just say, well, we'll deal with that another time. So you avoid committing to something like that. It's easier to blame our circumstances for our struggles rather than take the full responsibility for them. For instance, it's not my fault, it's COVID. It's not my fault, it's the government. It's my upbringing. I haven't got the money. I haven't got the time. It's my addiction. It's my lack of education. It's my bad luck. There's always a reason why our circumstances aren't how we want them to be. And because of that, we avoid committing to something that will change the way we want to live our lives. So whatever your excuse is, and it is an excuse, you know, whatever your excuse is for not committing to something that you know will change your life and help you move forward, when you do commit to something and you do take that responsibility, things really do change. And I'm proof of that. So what changed for me? What actually changed for me? So, well, I was a victim of injustice. I was serving a prison sentence, a life prison sentence with no release date. And I was told I was never going to be released from prison. And during that time, my whole family died. And I was completely alone, lost, completely disillusioned. I had no reason to live anymore. My life was over as far as I was concerned. And there was absolutely no point in me trying to change because I was fed up with life. I didn't want to live anymore. My circumstances, everything was against me. It was all on top of me and I couldn't move forward. So in my mind at that time, nothing I did would work. What's the point? Why bother? That was my mindset at that time. So I avoided any sort of thing. I just sat there feeling sorry for myself, blaming the world for all my problems, and not really moving forward, well, not moving forward at all. Just sitting there rotting, really. And after everybody had told me, everyone, officers and friends, everybody was saying, well, you're never going to get out of prison. There's no point trying. So, you know, it was, in my mind, it was a waste of time to even try. So, you know, the one thing I had plenty of in that situation was time, though. So even though I was wasting my time, perhaps, I had plenty of it. So I decided to change me. I thought, well, it can't hurt. It can't hurt. And I was tired of being a victim. I don't like being a victim. I don't want to experience those horrible self-pitying, draining sort of thoughts and feelings that just make you feel like crap all the time. And I wanted to get out of that mindset. And even if it meant I was never going to get out of prison, at least I knew I'd do something positive in my own way. And I no longer chose to be a victim of my circumstances. And instead, I chose to take full responsibility for my circumstances and my thoughts and my feelings and my actions. And as a consequence of that, when I did take full responsibility for my thoughts, feelings and actions, everything changed. Everything changed for me. You know, literally, it changed well, not overnight. Well, my emotions changed overnight, and my actions started to change overnight. But as I gradually started taking opportunities instead of seeing the problems that are in front of me, everything sort of changed, and doors started opening for me, and eventually I secured release. Instead of seeing those problems, I started working with kids. Instead of seeing the problems, I started doing a critical reasoning class where I was teaching it for 2 years. I was teaching critical reasoning skills to inmates. I did a degree. I worked my arse off basically to get out of prison. And eventually I secured my release. Much to the shock of a lot of people. Because, like I said, everybody was telling me that I would never get out of prison and that I would rot in there and I'd be in there for at least 20 years, if forever. But I proved them wrong, and I got out of prison because I worked hard to get out of prison and clear my name and prove to the people, the authorities or whoever, that I wasn't a threat to society, and in fact I shouldn't have been in there in the first place. And I eventually managed to secure my release. And after release, I decided to train as a professional coach. And for 2 years I trained with the Institute of Professional Excellence in Coaching to become a highly trained professional coach. And when I qualified, I started my own practice and started working as a coach. And now I help people like me in that situation back then change and grow into someone who they really truly want to be, and perhaps just don't know how to get there, and might have a problem or a issue actually taking control and moving forward with their lives, and really moving out of that comfort zone and taking the opportunities when they come, because unless you do move out of that comfort zone, you won't find the opportunities and they won't open up for you, and you will stay still. You'll stay still in life. So what changed for my clients? So you've heard what's changed for me, how it changed my way of thinking, changed how my life went, basically. What actually changed for my clients? Well, they learned to overcome anxiety, stress, fear, lack of confidence, and self-defeating thoughts. They learn to remove blocks to their thinking, which prevents them seeing the perspectives of situations which actually serve them, instead of perspectives that drain us and make us feel that we haven't got an option. And instead create perspectives which are objective, balanced, full of clarity, without the judgment. They create strategies and techniques which help them and work for them in different situations, so that they can always remain in control of their situations, whatever their circumstances. They achieve goals and results they'd previously not ever believed possible to achieve. They no longer overthink things. They have better work-life balance. They have more confidence and self-belief. They're happier, much more self-aware all of the time. They're focused. They have better relationships. Generally, they're living lives that they never believed they would. And just like me, I am now. I'm doing the same. I'm living the same way they are, because I practice what I'm teaching them, basically. I'm living the life that I never believed I'd be living. Because if you'd asked me when I was sat in that cell back then if I'd be feeling the way I feel now and living the life that I live now, there's no chance I would have ever thought that would be possible. So just like you can be, when you focus on changing you as well and commit to actually moving out of that comfort zone and taking responsibility for your thoughts, feelings and actions, you can also move forward and start creating the life that you choose to, and removing all of the blocks and barriers that you currently have sat in front of you, that you perceive as stopping you creating that life. And if you are interested in finding out how you can create that lifestyle or mindset or beliefs or whatever you want to call it, then give me a call and get in touch, and I'll have a chat with you, and we'll discuss how we can actually move forward together and how I can help you create what I help my other clients create, what I've created myself, a life which I choose to experience and live and enjoy, and one which is full of opportunities, happiness, joy, and not the things that we don't want. So if you are interested in finding out more, it's a free call. There's no obligation. I'll leave the details in my comments. Give me a call and we'll have a chat. And for now, have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you all again next week. Check out my podcast. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you soon. Bye.